Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. I am delighted to welcome you all to this podcast on SAP Brownfield migration to SAP S4 HANA. As many of you know, SAP is approaching the end of mainstream support for SAP ECC, and organizations across the globe are planning their transition to SAP S4 HANA. Our goal is to provide you with practical insights and guidance that will help you better understand the migration process and make informed decisions for your SAP transformation initiative. You may have additional questions after listening to this podcast. At NEMSsoft, we are committed to helping customers successfully navigate their SAP S4 HANA migration journey from assessment and planning through implementation and post go live support. Thank you for joining us today. Let us get started. Enjoy the podcast. Before we get into the meat of the discussion, let me introduce myself. I am Ramki Ramakrishnan, founder of NEMSsoft. I work as program director, solution architect in helping various organizations in implementing SAP solution. NEMSsoft helps the organizations in staffing, project management, implementation, integration, change management, and support activities with our offshore and onshore team. Organizations planning their transition to SAP S4 HANA generally have three migration options: Greenfield, Brownfield, and Bluefield migrations. Greenfield is a completely new implementation of SAP S4 HANA. Brownfield is a conversion approach that migrates the existing SAP ECC environment to SAP S4 HANA while largely preserving current business process configurations and historical data. The Bluefield migration can migrate their existing system while simultaneously introducing new business process, organizational changes, or selected innovations. The Brownfield migration approach is popular because it typically offers a faster, low risk path to SAP S4 HANA while preserving existing business investment and minimizing the business disruption. In today's podcast, we will focus specifically on the Brownfield migration journey and what it means for your organization. Migrating to SAP S4 HANA is the most significant technology transformation an organization can undertake. As business embrace digital transformation and artificial intelligence, SAP continues to innovate with capabilities such as SAP Joule, its AI-powered co-pilot, enabling organizations to become more intelligent, automated, and data-driven. To take advantage of these innovations and prepare for the future, organizations must transition from SAP ECC to SAP S4 HANA. This migration not only ensures long-term support and organizational readiness, but also provides opportunity to optimize business processes, improve operational efficiency, and leverage the latest SAP capabilities. However, while organizations focus on the future, they must also preserve the value of the past. A successful migration requires careful consideration of historical business data, critical custom development, integrations, and proven business process that are essential to daily operations. The challenge is to strike the right balance, embracing innovation while protecting the investments. This is where a well-planned SAP S/4HANA migration strategy becomes critical to ensuring a smooth and successful transformation. Now, let's get into a little more depth. A typical SAP S/4HANA Brownfield migration consists of 6 key work streams: program management, technical conversions, data management, custom code remediation, integration management, and change management. Each of these work streams plays a critical role in ensuring a successful migration and must be carefully coordinated throughout the project lifecycle. These work streams progress through 7 distinct project phases, from initial assessment and planning through deployment and post-go live support. While each work stream has its own set of activities and deliverables, they all follow a common project framework designed to minimize risk and ensure smooth transition to SAP S/4HANA. In this podcast, we will take a closer look at each of these 7 phases, exploring key objectives, activities, deliverables, and success factor associated with each phase. The first 2 phases of brownfield migrations are assessment, discovery, and preparation. These phases lay the foundation for successful conversion and significantly reduce project risk. The primary objective of assessment and discovery is to determine the organization readiness for SAP S4 HANA conversion. During this phase, the project team performs a comprehensive assessment of current SAP landscape, business process, custom development, integration, and technical infrastructure. The environment is a very critical one because we need to create a separate, unique environment for this migration process, because current landscape will be used for supporting the ECC system. So, that assessment becomes critical. For the benefit of everyone, I have given the list of key activities and outputs of the assessment and discovery phase in the slide. By end of this phase, the organization should have a clear understanding of the effort, timeline, cost, and risk associated with the migration. Once the assessment is complete, the project is approved, we move to the preparation phase. The objective here is to establish project governance and prepare the technical organizational landscape for conversion. Once again, I have given the key activities and major deliverables for this phase in the slide. These first 2 phases are considered the most important because they determine how smoothly the remaining migration phases will proceed. Organizations that invest sufficient time in assessment and preparation typically experience fewer issues during conversion, testing, and go live. Now, let's move to the explore and design phase. The objective of this phase is to validate current business process, assess their alignment with SAP S4 HANA best practices, and identify opportunities for process improvement and innovations. Although a brownfield migration aims to preserve existing business process, this phase provides an excellent opportunity to evaluate whether those processes are still meeting the business needs and where improvements can be made. Normally, this is done through business process workshops with key stakeholders across the functional areas. Then we get into the fit to standard or fit gap analysis, where we can determine which processes can remain unchanged, which customization can be retired, where the standard SAP functionality can reduce custom developments, which gap require further analysis. The another critical activity during this phase is reviewing SAP simplification items. SAP S/4HANA introduces significant changes to data structure, transactions, reporting model, and business processes. The project team must evaluate how these changes impact the current environment and identify any remediation activities required. The next opportunity is process optimization opportunity. During this phase, we understand streamlining the approval workflow, reducing manual activities, improving inventory visibilities, enhancing financial reporting, increase automation through S/4HANA capabilities. We will also do some technical optimization. The technical team evaluates opportunities to modernize the user experience and technology landscape. Critically, the major impact is on the Fiori application because we are moving from SAP GUI transaction to Fiori. Equivalent relevant Fiori applications are identified and implemented. Same way, the reporting analytic assessment helps to identify opportunities for real-time operational reporting, and security role review also accommodate the Fiori changes and the front-end changes. The key deliverables are listed in the slide. Let me not read through you, but by the end of this explore design phase, the organization has validated its migration strategy, identification of optimized opportunities, and established clear roadmap for moving into system conversion and realization activities. The critical work of migration starts during the realize phase. During this phase, we execute the actual system conversions and complete all remediation activities identified during the earlier phases. This is where the planning turns into execution. The rubber meets the road. The project team works in two parallel tracks. One is a technical conversion track and a functional configuration track. The technical conversion team responsible for transforming the existing ECC to S/4HANA. They run some standard programs like Software Update Manager, popularly known as SUM, with data migration option DMO. So this will create the database in S/4HANA. Then the team performs conversion of ECC system to S/4HANA. The custom code and interface remediations are completed during this phase. The absolute customization identified during the fit gap analysis are either retired or redesigned. The Fiori implementation and security role conversion is done, so making the system ready technically. The functional team also goes through the business process validations, configuration adjustments, reporting validations, and master data validations during this phase. So one of the most important aspects of realize phase is the close coordination between technical and functional team. So the key deliverables of this phase is listed in the slide, but end of this phase, the system is getting ready for the vigorous testing of the next phase. Okay, the realize phase is often considered most technically intensive stage of the migration journey. Success in this phase significantly reduces risk during testing, cutover, and go live. A system is as good as it is tested. So here we enter the phase 5 validation or testing phase. Here we go through the 5 different test stages. One is unit test, normally done by the functional and technical team. System integration test, where we define end-to-end process, interfaces, batch jobs are tested. Then we get into the user acceptance testing, which is done by the business user with security roles properly defined, assigned. Then we get into the performance testing to make sure that the critical jobs are running on time. And finally, a mock-over or dress rehearsal test. So the system goes through the 5 levels of testing to make sure our conversion or migration is successfully done and working well. The next phase of the project is a deployment phase. So it's a deploy cutover kind of activities are done here. So this is a very carefully planned phase of the project because all the activities are listed and carefully executed because it involves production downtime. Okay, so once all the activities of cutover is completed, the system is migrated successfully and it is ready for go live. Yeah, business verification is done and the hypercare preparation is done and the user communication creates a green flag for the users to go live is successful. So this is followed by hypercare activities in phase 7, which is basically anything which is missed or anything fine tuning is required that is done during the hypercare phase, and the system is made stable. So the stabilization activities are completed and the regular support activities are started here. I will not spend much time on the slide. This is basically summarization of what we talked, the activities of 6 parallel work stream. So let me move on to the next slide. The most critical question every CIO has in his mind is how long it will take. The timeline is the critical activity of estimation. The timelines scale dynamically changes with organizational complexity, infrastructure footprint, and volume of custom code remediation, etc. But we can give a guideline here. A small project might get over, a single country project might get over in 4 to 6 months, whereas a complex global enterprise might take 12 to 18 months. In the Brownfield implementation, we can identify these 4 pillars as the critical factors for the success. The number 1 is the data and code hygiene. How clean the data is or what kind of custom codes we have done. Determines the difficulty of Brownfield migration. The second pillar is the rigorous validation. How do we validate the process? So we have explained about various tests we conduct in the project. So the rigorous validation testing becomes a second pillar. The third one is the adoption by the people, because that is a critical factor in every project, let it be greenfield or brownfield, because we need to start adapting to the changes in the front end, Fiori front end instead of SAP GUI and things like that. So user acceptance test and things like that plays a very critical role. The last but not least is the precision of execution, that is solely falls on the shoulder of project manager. The project management is a very critical activity in brownfield because the project manager needs to understand the technology very well so that he can effectively control the project and deliver things on the time and ensure a good quality and the cost is under the budget, things like that. So everything depends on the project management. At NEMSsoft, we specialize on the project management. We talk about it in the next slide. The next question comes in everybody's mind is the methodology. We don't have to have one methodology. We can find the intersection of all the possible good things from various methodologies. Typically SAP Activate helps in transports and moving the things correctly to the different environment. The deployment frameworks is very good. Same way the Brownfield S4HANA methodology provides unique specialized technical conversion rigor and tools, etc. And the Jazz app, the Jira methodology, helps in tracking the activities and distributing the work to the people and controlling it and monitoring it, etc. So we can find the intersection of all 3 methodologies, and that's what we typically do in the NEMSsoft project. Let me take one more minute of your time in explaining the NEMSsoft capabilities. NEMSsoft is a SAP implementation partner, and we have specialized in implementing greenfield, brownfield, and bluefield migrations. We have expertise in SAP S4 HANA Cloud, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Commerce Cloud, and SAC implementations. And we have done end-to-end implementation and phased implementations, and our team is well versed with SAP enhancement, production support, and maintenance activities. We have around 2000 plus SAP consultants in our contact database, and we have 3 satellite offices in India: Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai. Okay, our corporate office in Dallas, and we are here to help you anytime with any SAP projects immediately. I have listed the names of the customers we have served in the next slide, and my contact details are available in the following slide. Please feel free to contact us by email or phone for any help you need in implementing SAP project. Once again, I thank you all for your time and wish you all very success in your SAP project implementation. Thank you. Thank you all for joining today's podcast. Appreciate your time and feel free to contact us by phone or email for any further assistance. Thank you again.